What is the funniest thing you overheard from another player's mic while playing a game online? I was playing I think COD or something and I hear this kid go, "Mom, did you see that? I sniped him." And the mom goes, "That's great. Did you put lotion on your ashy ass elbows?" One time after beating a kid at a match on Counter-Strike, he kept yelling 1v1 me noob and hurling other insults at me. The kid was definitely only 11-12 years old. Anyways, I added him so we could 1v1, and while sitting in the pre-game lobby I heard his mother come in and start yelling at him to go to bed. He refused to turn off the PC. Then I heard his mother walk towards the PC and turn it off. He was immediately disconnected. I was laughing so hard the whole time. I heard an adult get mad at his mom for putting the wrong cheese on his sandwich. A few years back, I saw a coworker itch his mom out over the lunch she made him. We were all sitting around the lunch table and he opened his thermos and made a face. He then stood up, walked over to the phone and called home. "Oh. Hi mom. Since when do I like mushroom soup? Seriously. When have you ever seen me eat mushroom soup? Yeah. Whatever. Thanks a lot." Phone slam. He was 22 years old at the time. I was playing Rocket League and some guy told me he was going to take a bath with my dad. I've never laughed so hard. Early on in Rocket League I had ran into a decent group of randoms and we played a number of games while chatting a little. All of a sudden one guy goes, "Sheet guy. I gotta go. There's a tornado," and exits the lobby. We had mentioned where we were from and he said Austin. TX. I just thought he was trying to be funny or something. But the next day I open up Reddit and there are a half dozen posts about some crazy tornado in Texas. A guy in my Overwatch party was taking bong rips all night, claiming it made him play better. We had pushed the payload almost to the end on our turn, but we were losing ground extremely fast. They pushed us to the second checkpoint on Gibraltar, when the guy says hold up and goes completely AFK in spawn. From the mic we hear the loudest, most drawn out bong rip that I have ever heard in my life. Sheet deadness lasted like 90 seconds. He came back and proceeded to frag out hard on my of all characters, and basically held the enemy team in spawn the rest of the game. After that we went on one of those night-long winning streaks and I finally hit diamond. I never found Wheat Seagull again, but I couldn't have done it without him. I was playing a quick play game of Overwatch, and there was some kid getting yelled at by his mom that dinner was ready. It was a shouting match of her telling him to get off the game, and him telling her he'd only be a minute. Then he full on screamed at her and disconnected. This was followed by one guy on mic, who had been silent the entire game, bursting out laughing. Overheard a mom shout from a teammate's audio, "Mom, we're going out to get breakfast." Kid, "No. I'm in the middle of a game." "Mom, we're going to McDonald's." Awesome kid 69 left the game. This guy's girlfriend asked him if she should order him pizza. He said, "Do I ducking look Italian to you?" The answer to that question is yes every time. WTF dude. I was once playing NHL with a couple friends. Our randomly filled teammate was probably about a 14 or 15-year-old kid. We then hear an older woman's voice, presumably his mother, in the thickest Boston accent I've ever heard. "Wash ya duck in hand steady. 2 pumps of soap. Don't break the duck in container." I was trash talking this team on Black Ops 2 back in the day. I said, "You live in your mom's basement," and my mom walked into my room at that very moment and said, "You will too if you don't get those grades up." I was 14. Edit. This really had to be my highest upvoted comment. He was having a hard time explaining why multiplying by 0 equals 0, so I plugged in my mic and told the guy how to explain it simply. It was like Cyrano de Bergerac. I'd say a sentence to the guy in his headset and he'd parrot it to the kid. I also love when I hear people talk to what I assume are their pets on mic. So not overheard, but I remember an incident about myself. When I was 12 I got to raid ZG in World of Warcraft for the first time with my guild. It was also the first time I used Ventrilo TS and didn't know about the push to talk mechanic, so my mic was on the whole time. My mom asked me from downstairs what I wanted on my sandwich, so I yelled back really loud, "Leverpist with mayonnaise and cucumber," in Norwegian. And oh my god, I scared the shit out of my guildies. Some other Norwegian guy in the guild could not stop laughing for the whole raid. Back in the days of Halo 2, guy I played with regularly was Asian. We were trash talking, as 15-year-olds will, when I heard this sharp slapping sound, followed by the dude logging out. Turns out his mom heard our trash talk and used her flip-flop to wallop the back of his head. First time I heard it, followed by many more when we were up till late. The only online game I've ever played is Fortnite, and I only started playing that because my little nephew wanted me to duo with him as he has nobody else to play with regularly. I was bad though, so I started playing Squad Fill on my own to try and improve so I could actually help my nephew when we play. Early hours of one morning I got paired up with a couple of guys who sounded like they were talking Arabic, so I just stayed quiet. Then a young kid joined, maybe about 14 or so, and started trying to talk to the other two. He went through whole list of languages, asking them if they spoke English, Spanish, Italian, German, and the two guys said no each time. Finally the kid asked them if they spoke French and one of them said yes. The kid spoke a few sentences in French and after a sly pause one of the guys replied with a baguette. I laughed. The kid left. One of the guys said AWW, the we hunt left. Turns out they were both Scottish. It was funny, but it didn't half make me feel kind of dumb. Listen to this young kid who speaks all these languages and me barely know English. Not me. But I remember something on the lines of, "If you win 5-0 at FIFA I will give you head." The opponent heard it and ran 3 goals in his own net. Thanks for the silver. It was in a Call of Duty Ghosts Infection lobby. There were multiple little kids trash talking each other throughout the whole game. Then somebody called the Great Scott joined and infected one of the kids. Then they all ganged up on him saying that they hoped he choked on his haggis. Then he comes on the mic, and in the most stereotypical Scottish accent possible, casually says, "Feck off lads or I'll shove me haggis up ye bollocks." Laddie. I was nearly crying throughout the next match. Not mine, but my friend's story. She was playing PUBG with a bunch of random people and one of the dude's mom goes, "Are you talking to a girl?" in the most dramatic voice, and then he disappeared. The other dude went like, "Oh man. Let's pray for his soul." I used to play Halo 3 with a group of my social worker buddies. Whenever we would get an angsty kid yelling at the game, we would turn it into a counseling session, teaching anger management techniques, finding out what was behind the rage, encouraging them to rethink life decisions. I'd like to think we helped a lot of people. Edit. Thank you for the gold, kind stranger. I was the one saying it over a live mic. Husband and I were cooking meal prep lunches when I had to leave for my raid. I was talking something through before a fight when my husband came into the office with a fork full of food for me to try. I moved my head away a few times and he kept getting closer and closer with the fork until I finally said, "I don't want it in my mouth right now." Guild waited a half second before losing it. We had to take a 10-minute break. I was playing Fortnite with a squad of fandoms, playing with a kid who's been talking the entire game. No one is responding. A mob, I'm assuming, starts yelling at this kid in our squad on Fortnite. Mind you, he's probably 10-12 years old. I hear in a stern voice, "Jason, turn off yours box right now." He whines, "We are almost done. Can I finish this game?" She says, "If you don't turn it off now, nose box for a week." Door slams. Jason goes, "Fudge it." He stays on and we come in 7th. Jason is a legend. A guy's drunk wife talking loud enough in the background for us to hear her about how she made the sheet out of some sourdough bread. Those were her exact words. She was all, "Yeah, I know your online friends can hear me. I bet they're jealous of this gom sourdough. They can suck my big dick." Back in the Halo 2 days, There was the proximity mic feature, where you could hear an opposing player's mic if you were near them when they spoke. Team Slayer one night on coagulation. I hijacked an enemy player's ghost. Remember how awesome it was doing that, as I kicked the dude out and stole his ghost. The kid shouted at me, "Go eat a cheeseburger, you fat Irishman," and then silence. As I turned around I held him. I was stunned but hilariously amused at the same time. That was 2005 and I still giggle about his crackly voice screaming that random shit at me. I was in a game with two friends and one of them called me a cum lord for stealing a hill. There was a 3-second pause and then the other one said, "'Tis I, the Lord of Cum," in a high-pitched voice, and we just lost it. I was playing a game of Dead or Alive 4 and multiple people were in the lobby. This guy in usual fashion starts trash talking one of the other guys and all of a sudden both of them, somehow, get their girlfriends involved in this online argument on a headset. It was pretty hilarious listening to two women compare their man's pen 15 sizes. Which is completely irrelevant to the situation, lol. Doing a raid with a few randoms, I hear a dude talking to his kid say, "Yes, daddy is playing game with friends." Then all I heard was PS4 beep and him saying, "Oh duck notter." Cut off and leaving the game and party chat. Legit was so ducking funny. When he eventually joined back up he explained his little kid loves turning off his PS4. My BF was doing a group game stream thing, I think. It makes sense looking at the story. In the middle of a game there is a sudden high-pitched shriek. And a lot of "oh my god" s. Turns out one of the team members forgot that he had set his screen to share and was happily looking at dragon dildos. And only noticed his oopsie daisy 15 minutes or so into his little shopping spree. The last thing I heard that I can remember was this dude's dog barking incessantly and people telling him to shut it up. Someone asked what it wanted and he said attention, then they said to go give it attention and he said PFFFD no. Like, why have a dog if you're just gonna let it bark while you game for hours and hours on end? I was playing Minecraft years ago with 3 other friends when one of them said they would be right back. Turns out he was going to piss, but kept his headset on and didn't mute the mic. We heard him the entire piss and we were all dying laughing. One day while playing FIFA, Mexico vs USA, I got this kid super triggered to the point he turned on his mic to tell me all this kind of racist things for about 5 minutes. For the voice I can tell this kid was at the range of 9-11 years old. Anyway, at one moment he was saying something like, "Ducking Mexicans, you also ugly, we Americans won't even grape you." Well, maybe moms. Yeah, we will grape your moms just to see you suffer. At that point another voice arises at the sound of, "The fuck you are saying?" Double quote. So I believe it was his dad, who got super upset by the language his little kid was using. Almost immediately the match was cancelled as he disconnected. Little kid getting spanked by his mom over's box live playing Halo 2. He apparently took a bath, got water all over the hardwood floor, left his dirty clothes on the floor, and was still not even dressed yet and had gotten the wet towel draped on the chair. The mom was like, "At least you being naked saves me the time to take down your underwear." We were laughing so hard no one was even playing the match. A guy doing a very posh British accent rallying the team. I heard him say, "Hey you, come with me and the boys. You are not going to hit sheet from back there," while still doing a voice, and it seemed so off it was great. On an old DQ server I unintentionally listened to an entire breakup over his raiding habits and his inability to pay attention to her. Pretty cringy. Felt bad for the bro, but she seemed to have been solidly fed up. RIP in peace. When I played WoW there was a married couple in my guild and on Vent we were occasionally subjected to their marital disputes. We were a pretty seriously progression minded PvE guild and both of them were healers. And they also had 3 kids. So there were regular arguments over who got to raid that night and who had to watch the kids. If something dropped that the one not raiding wanted badly, then we could hear them pissed off in the background. Playing TF2 with a random group of people, and our team isn't doing great. Someone joins the server and immediately starts yelling and screaming, saying remarks that made me instantly believe he was in the military. And from the south. What the duck are y'all doing? Get your thumbs out of her butts and get your sheet together. He was playing as a medic. And there was another medic on the team. You saucy sonich, why the duck are you healing me? I'm a goddamn medic. I'm about to spin you around by your little shoestring big dig and toss you back to 3rd grade. There were various other comments made. All of which sounded like Learmy in Full Metal Jacket. I was dying. Back when COD Modern Warfare 2 came out, I used to play with the same group of people all the time. One of the guys was a huge stoner that lived with his girlfriend. He used to tell us about how fat she was constantly. He was a chubby chaser. Well, one night we all got online and during a match, he just started going ballistic on this girl. Apparently, he had made himself a fully loaded bagel before the match started, and during the match she managed to sneak it away from him without him knowing and ate it. I'm not condoning fat shaming people, but that was the most hilarious rant I've ever heard. TLDR, stoner friend of mine yelled at his bagel stealing chubby girlfriend. In my WoW guild, we have married couple in our raid group. They are parents and a lot of the other people in our guild are olderish guys. Single guys. Or younger ones. One night we are raiding and mid-pull we hear the mom yell into her mic accidentally, "Hey, it's almost time for bed, you better have taken a shower and put your games away." In the most mom voice you've ever heard. A lot of people in our raid were ready to log off and go shower out of fear. My friend was ducking, freaking out on the mic. I thought he was getting mad at someone in the game, but it didn't make a whole lot of sense. He would be like, "Duck off, no. 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 Don't ducking do that. You ducking cheeky bastard. You absolute ducking asshole. Don't. God damn it." And I asked him what the duck was going on and he said, "My cat drank my ducking milk." A kid getting the sheet beat out of it. On our MMO we all hopped into a clan Skype channel. This dude was one of those that didn't use push to talk, which in of itself isn't bad, but was using a mic and speakers. Anyway, his parents didn't want him using a headset as he couldn't hear them if they called and the background noise was always terrible. One day, his little sister was apparently doing something she wasn't supposed to and the parents were screaming bloody murder and throwing out the kind of obscenities that I, admittingly a sailor, would think twice about using at other adults. Then the beatings and her screaming like she was dying. It was terrible, and dude face just keep talking and playing through it as if it was normal. Noped out of there and never went back.